evening and welcome to the best evening talk show in the capital. Yes, my name is Miriam Mensah. This is The Dish on MX24. We're coming to you live from our MX24 studios, Oleander Street, East Legon, Accra. This season has definitely blown my mind because, listen, we've been having great conversation, thought-provoking discussions and empowering insights on the issues that matter most to women and global development. Join us as we continue to amplify women's voices, challenge the status quo, and spark meaningful change with progressive women. And right here in the studios today, we are definitely having progressive women in the studio today. And today I'm super excited because I always say this on television, that if only the camera could capture the conversations we have before the show or before the camera comes on, you'd realize that those conversations are even more interesting than what we do live. But of course, we bring you the very best. We want to say a big thank you to Decor Zone for the set. Of course, this has been beautifully put together by Decor Zone. Big thank you to them. If you want that house to be a home where you can invite all your loved ones to visit you and not feel ashamed about it, please contact DecoZone today and thank me later. Big thank you to Betway Cowbell Coffee, Flora Tissues, Tango Washing Powder, Telecel, Club Shandy, and LPG. Hey guys, let's talk about something we all want: success. Everybody wants it. Everybody dreams of it. We all aspire to succeed and make a mark in life. We push ourselves to excel, enduring challenges along the way just to be successful. Charlie, when work gets tough, and I bet it will, you need that extra boost to keep pushing forward. And on those days when you need someone to be there for you, Cowbell Coffee will be by your side. It's a rich, creamy 3-in-1 blend with a great taste and aroma that will definitely kickstart your day. Whether you are working or just creating memories with friends and loved ones, Cowbell Coffee will be there with you every moment. So no matter where you are at, as you chase after those goals, keep Cowbell Coffee close to stay motivated and going. Remember, Cowbell Coffee is with you every moment. Yes, and still, we're live on The Dish. Remember, guys, the entire year we dedicated our time and our team to championing this cause of Cross It Out. We're crossing out the stigma. We're crossing out the risk associated with breast cancer. Well, we're crowning it all up with the Cross It Out concert. It's on. Join us for the Cross It Out concert this October as we climax our year-long breast cancer awareness campaign with a thrilling concert with your favorite female artist. Mark your calendar for Friday, the 18th of October 2024 from 6 p.m. at Alliance Française, Accra. Performing live will be sensational Efia, Feli Nuna, Titi Owusu, Maya Blue, Choyuta, Dakwa, Senti, S the Legend, Kiki Celine, and DJ Nice. Backed by the Afro Harmony Band and hosted by Ghana's favorite twins, Lali X Lola. That's Lali and Lola. Together, we are crossing out the risk, fear, and stigmas attached to breast cancer by raising funds for our annual breast cancer outreach and treatment campaign, Cross It Out. For tickets, dial *365 *88 *455# or visit mx24.app/crossitouttickets. You can also get free tickets from now to the 15th by getting a free breast cancer screening at any of the branches of our official hospital partner, Life Check Health Center. Go ahead, set a reminder, get screened, and cross it out. The Cross It Out concert is supported by Flora Tissue, Top Choco, Tango Washing Powder, Max Felix Food, IBM Petroleum, and media partners are YFM. Of course, MX24, right? Let me remind you that this is an interactive show, so send in your comments and reactions, and of course, opinions to any of the conversations we have right here on our social media platform is MX24GH with the hashtag The Dish on MX24. So yes, it's a packed month. October is getting really exciting, okay? And so please don't leave us, okay? We're doing this with you. Today, our topic today, when I discuss as usual, and I know you're getting tired of this, but my family members, they're all I have. Unfortunately, I can't do anything about it. Once the topics come in from my producers, I discuss it with my family and friends, and they're like, what? This is not even a like, what? are you talking about? But reality is that on the grounds, there are people living in abusive relationships, and we're asking to fix or to break. Well, abusive relationships can be a devastating and isolating experience, leaving individuals feeling trapped, powerless, and uncertain about their future. As we delve into the complex dynamics of these relationships, we acknowledge the courage and resilience of those who have suffered in silence. This discussion explores the intricate web of emotional, physical, and psychological abuse, seeking to understand when and how to seek help, the psychological factors that keep individuals bound to their abusers, and the transformative journey towards healing and freedom. Join us for this conversation. I know, you're excited. You are humbled by this conversation because it would amaze you that there are people who stay in abusive relationships because they don't think that they would find another. Can you imagine? Yes. People die in abusive relationships. And also, mind you, being abused in a relationship can be physical, mental, emotional, whichever way you can think of, abuse can show up, and people show up differently when they have been abused in our society. Well, joining me for the conversation this morning is MC Yaa Yeboah, the very ever eloquent, intelligent. I'm very to say. Me say she's my guest. I was like, oh my God, how am I gonna do this, guys? Like, how do you intend? But yeah, we're going to do this. MC Yaa Yeboah, she's a media personality. Hi, how you doing?
I'm fine. You look good.
Thank you, baby.
It feels good to be here.
I'm super humbled to have you here, superstar. And also, this woman, right? I was trying to explain to her how I got in touch with her, and I'm super humbled to have her on the show this evening. Esinam, or do I say pastor, or woman of God, or CEO? Well, let's keep it very, cute and modest. Esinam Seade or Seade.
Seade.
You know, Ghanaians call you Seade, right?
No, I don't.
Jella Seade.
Why do people call her that?
I know.
That's so bad.
So Seade,
yes.
she's a pastor and CEO of S03E05 events. And also joining us later on Zoom is Dr. Evelyn Owusu-Roberts, licensed clinical psychologist, to delve into the different aspects of this conversation. Ladies,
Hi.
good evening.
Good evening.
Doc, no, not Doc. Woman of God. It's good to have you. So good to have you
too.
here.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
Let's delve into it. I was saying something earlier when I spoke to my family members about the topic. It's like, why? Why? This not even, he said, no. I'm like, okay, I get it. That will be probably the reaction of everyone who would hear someone is being abused in a relationship.
Right.
But we also know the reality. There are a lot of people who are living in abusive relationships, whether it's being mental, physical, emotional. People are stuck in abusive relationships, and we want to delve into that conversation. But let's start this way. What do you think are the most important factors in promoting healthy relationships? What do you think are the most important factors? Let me start with Osofumami. Yes. Osofumami. Let's start from the spiritual angle.
I think that for me, I would marry two things: communication and trust. You can't divorce each other, also because of how it's almost very interdependent, right? But when two people have decided to be in a relationship or to commit to each other, the individuality of these persons play out. But you would work better, or you would have the ability to understand each other, and that relationship, so to speak, would thrive if I know who you are. You communicate to me who you are. You let me understand who you are, and vice versa. So that is really important, the communication part. I also need to trust what you're telling me. That means that if you are expressing your opinions, I need to trust that these are what your opinions are. It may change over time. It may be divergent. It may be not what everybody thinks should be your stand. But I trust that you are a discerning human being. I trust you to take decisions, So trust is important as well as communication. Sometimes they even marry each other. Even trusting what is being communicated to you.
MC.
Yeah, I totally agree with her. Definitely, I don't think there's any successful relationship, be it business, work, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. There is no successful relationship without communication or without trust. it is very essential that these two things plays a major role in your relationship. Because guess what? If you're going through something and you don't know how to communicate, you don't expect your partner to know that this is what Mimi is going through, this is what Mimi is thinking. He or she is not a magician. You have to communicate, you have to talk. And then the trust also comes in. If I'm talking to you, I keep saying things to you and you don't trust anything I say, it's like we are not moving forward. We are stuck at one place, you understand? Then I'll also go on to say boundaries. Setting healthy boundaries in a relationship actually helps promote a healthy relationship.
Wow.
Yes, you have to set boundaries. The fact that I'm your husband or I'm your wife or I'm your boyfriend, I'm your girlfriend doesn't mean that everything and anything goes.
Yeah.
There are supposed to be healthy boundaries in every relationship. And if I want to narrow, promoting a healthy relationship down to that of maybe husband, wife, partners as in boyfriend, girlfriend, then I'll say intimacy also plays a role as well. I don't know why we always also Mami. I don't know why
we're about to flip her shoe. Girl, she
I don't know
flip
why
her
we
shoe.
always, talk about these things and then we actually
take out the
intimate part. And when I talk about intimacy, of course, yes, the sexual intimacy is there, but there's emotions, vulnerability, and all these things plays a role in intimacy. You understand? So we can really never say that we have trust, communication. There's no intimacy. I don't think it's going to make that relationship a solid one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. When we come to the conversation of abuse as well, which we're going to launch into it very soon, and we just want to establish a few things. When we come to the societies we belong to, how do you think that society norms and its understanding of how one should show up in the world enables abuse? Or actually, okay, let's stay with the enable abuse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it does in a lot of ways. Let me narrow this conversation down to where we grew up, our cultural setting, and how we grew up as people. And even in the churches, we know that the society that we grew up, we know that as a woman at a certain age, you're supposed to get married. You're supposed to have children. You're supposed to settle down. Taboo, how dare you say that? Oh, I don't want to have kids. I don't see myself getting married. Then you are seen as the evil one. So these pressures from society enables abuse. Guess what? There's a lady who has struggled long enough, find herself in her maybe late 30s, finally gets a husband. Now, she's happy. Family is happy. Society is happy. Oh, Wawari, she's married now. In this marriage, you're constantly facing abuse, whether emotional, physical, and what have you. You are facing it all the time. Now, because of what society will say, you don't want to leave. We've seen so many women suffer a lot, and even men as well. I don't want to take anybody else, suffer a lot because, oh, when I leave, they will say this, I have to stay because of the children. I have to be there for, whatever reason that society thinks that is right and the light that we want to put you in. And so you decide to stay in the abuse, and most of the times, these people lose their lives or even their mental sanity. So I ask myself that if we are staying to please what society will say, at the end of the day, is it because of the kids? Okay, you're staying because of the kids. Guess what? When you lose that mental sanity, you will not be
You're not good
in any
enough for the
position
kids
to raise the kids for them to become who you want them to be, because you are constantly submitting them to see you being abused. And so these kids, guess what? They grow up to think it's normal. They are men that beat their women because they saw their father do it. They are women that insult their men, emasculate them because they saw their moms do it to their father. So that thing that we say that, oh, and Kolaniti, because of the kids, I have to stay. Oh, because of church, I have a position in church, I cannot leave because of this. Guess what? You are actually setting yourself up for death because it's going to be a vicious cycle. You're going to go through it. Your children have witnessed you go through it, and they are also going to do the same thing. It would take maturity, growth, and grace of God to heal children that actually say this. If I can share a classic example. I know someone that is going through a divorce with the wife because of abuse. Now, the woman was constantly being abused, so definitely decided to get a divorce. So now they're separated, right? Now, they have 3 kids. The kids goes to their father to spend holidays all the time. Now, this is what these 3 boys are seeing all the time. Every day, the man is bringing in different women to the house. Because now he's on his own, right? Bringing different women to the house. Also, you know, meting out that abuse to them and all that. And these kids are witnessing this, and they are boys. So imagine that when these kids grow up to become men, they would think it's normal to insult a woman. They would think it's not, because that's what they grew up seeing. So I think that definitely society enables abuse a lot because of our expectations from people that we really do not have any business minding their business.
Absolutely.
You know, like you go to church and some people are being shamed because they are not married, because they don't have kids, because they don't have a partner. And it's, I think it's absolutely appalling. Yeah, if you ask me.
Woman of God.
I think she's made really salient points about how society imprints that kind of pressure, which culminates into abuse. But I'll take it from an angle that many times we don't even think about, which is how we have gendered roles and responsibilities in our society, such that an average young lady who is growing up, now by the grace of God, things are changing, but an average young lady who is growing up have been schooled to think that my livelihood has to be fended for by a man. And so if I am even in an economically stable condition, I still need to balance the equation. A has to be equal to B. So can I find me a man, irrespective of how he sees me, irrespective of the level of disrespect that is going to come? Women need to understand that God has given us these abilities so we can have stability on our own and complement the man. So one of the things that society has done, which has been so indirect, and getting married, I got to now understand that, you know what, yes, it is okay for you to think that your husband's money is your money, but you have so much more than you think it takes to be able to be an economic stable person in that household you have been in. When you think that whatever economic conditions your husband is bringing on the table is what is making you a better person, then it warrants you enduring the abuses. See, many of the abuses that come usually stem from dependency.
Yes, because they
So
don't have the power.
what is
to
that
be
level of dependency you are giving to the other person for which you think that you cannot thrive only if you are being supported
By this
by that person? So the point she's raised, I'm just adding this to it to say, you know what, abuse is, you can omit abuse from your life, whether emotional, whether financial, whether, see, to the extent of having spiritual abuse.
Explain that. That I haven't heard.
I was coming to
Yes,
that.
coming to that. I was going to go to the emotional aspect, but if you
Yes.
brought that up, let's get into it.
I have met people who have been in relationships with, so let me give you a classical example. Amma and Kofi are in a relationship. Kofi has a pastor or a prophet or a spiritual mother who is the voice of conscience in the marriage or in the relationship, right? And now you have, and I know many people don't even think about this. And now everything that has to happen in a relationship is on the approval and the dependency and the utterance of the spiritual father. There is a place for having, and I'm saying this because I'm also a pastor, right? So nobody should come for me. I know how these things happen. But there is a place we have created. It's so abstract but dominant in homes that are religious, and that is having them. So you see, when these things happen, the opinions of the partner is not respected, and it's not only the men, sometimes even the women, or even more than the women,
Even more in the woman's
side.
Yeah.
So you are abusing your husband spiritually and emotionally, not even recognizes what you're doing. At the end of the day, your pastor calls you and you are quick to go than even your husband.
I've been saying this all the time. Like, I don't mean to cut you, but how do you call a man that you're married to? You constantly disrespect him, right? You emasculate him. You make him feel like nothing. But yet, your phone rings and your pastor calls you. It's like, oh, how do they call them? I've forgotten. oh, man of God, oh yes, me try. You respect that person more than the one you're building your life with. How does that make sense? There's no balance there.
I think that, woman of God, I'm going to drag you into this because I think a lot of the time, these young women might have gone through a lot of spiritual abuse, and I'm borrowing your words because their entire life, maybe better part of their lives, they've probably lived or been around these men of God who have probably done things for them. So their lives are literally tied to these people.
Then marry them.
But of course, they cannot marry them. So again, even though you're married, I'm still responsible for what you do in your life or in your marriage. And so I agree with you that that's something that we do not look at.
No, we
A
don't.
lot of people have ruined their marriages, and
Because of that.
I tell you a
Because of
story.
that.
Recently, I met this very, very prominent man. His marriage has, collapsed. And I was saying that, oh, that was such a beautiful marriage. Like, Mimi, my ex-wife is a good woman. She woke up one dawn and said, as long as my parents are alive, we will not enjoy our marriage. So let's just end it. She's a daughter of a very prominent man of God in this country. Said, my parents will be in this marriage until you die. You are a good man. Let's end it. I'm going to tell them that, please play this role with me. Tell them that you are divorcing me and let me go. Because you will not enjoy your life. You are a good man.
That's sad.
So these are not even, this is not external conversation. This is her parents. Her own father and
Constantly
mother
in the
are
marriage.
in her marriage, and she knows what they have done.
So you see, that's where the healthy boundaries come in.
Right.
If you are not able to set that healthy boundaries, everybody, listen, it's my life. I'm the CEO of my life.
Absolutely.
I am sitting in the chair. You gave me life. You brought me to this earth. You've taken care of me. I appreciate it. I love you so much. But you don't get to control the life that God has given me to live. Do you understand my point? I can come to you to seek advice. But guess what? I can decide to take it or not. So I think that for people that constantly feel like, there are people that when they give you advice and you don't take it, they feel like you've disrespected them.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
They feel like
very abusive.
How dare you?
understand? How dare you?
How dare you not take my advice?
Sometimes you have to just hold the, how do they say that thing?
The bull
Hold
by the horn.
bull by the and say, you know what? I don't want to use certain words on TV, but just sit back. I got this. You understand? It's your parents, but yes, if your parents love you enough, they should be able to sit back and know for a fact that, listen, I think I'm destroying this girl's life. She didn't have to leave the husband, let alone ask the husband to say, play a role with me and let my parents. You have to gather the courage and tell your parents that enough is enough. This is where I draw the line.
Yes.
You don't cross that line. This is my marriage. This is my home. And that's because what if that is actually your soulmate?
You see, so that's how abuse plays out. So people who have been abused for so long almost lose their powers, or they not almost lose their powers. And so when you've been conscientized to believe that you are nothing without someone, over time you begin to believe it.
That's what that's what I was talking about the dependency. You having to depend on somebody so much. I was listening to her, and we were hoping that this relationship conversation will go with just the couple and all that. But society has evolved so much that we now begin to feel people owe us something.
Yes.
So whether they're
My friend calls
parents or
it
the
a
in-laws,
useless sense of entitlement.
Yes, there is so much entitlement. And also it's because people are beginning to calculate what they give. Okay, so I have given this child so much of my life when I was growing up, and I've had you, and I've taken care of you, and I've gone to school, and at the end of the day, you want to just go like that?
So it's
No,
like you owe
come
me,
back.
you have to pay me.
And it's the same thing that reflects even with marriages where, when they're courting, the assumption is, oh,
invested in
I have
you.
invested in you and stuff like that. And narcissistic men or
my
women
God.
will always
Play that card.
push it in your face, would always let you know, hey, after all that I've done for you, after this, you are not appreciative. You don't see the value of what I'm doing for you. You don't see the value of, and it's like they're trying to manipulate that mindset of your inefficiencies were filled up by my efficiency, and so you have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
The moment you start seeing something like that, darling, you need to run.
Be gone.
Did you
Flee.
say run? Flee. That's the word.
Ladies, this has already kickstarted a big conversation, and I know you're learning a thing or two. I always say that let's learn and grow on this show. Well, we're going for a quick commercial break. When we return, the conversation continues right here on The Dish. We'll be right back. Welcome back to MX24 right here. This is The Dish, and I'm super excited that you're joining in. We are still learning and growing right here on the show. A big thank you to Decor Zone, to Cowbell Coffee, Telecel Ghana, and of course, you right there who's watching. Thank you for always joining in the conversation right here. Let's get into it. I still have Woman of God. You said it's
Please call me Esinam.
Esinam. I'm telling you, the whole Ghana used to call it the last Seade. I'm telling you.
Really?
Yeah.
The last Seade, the model and the influencer. I've always called her the last Seade. So your name is Esinam Seade.
Seade. It's a new name.
It's a new name. A bougie name.
Yeah, right. It sounds very bougie.
And MC, of course. Ladies, I mean, we already kickstarted the conversation with fire, and you ladies have been doing amazing. But let's get into it. We talked about how society enables abuse, but over time, we have also realized that things have evolved. People have realized what has been going on, the norm. And so people have started learning and unlearning certain things. How do you think so far society has actually helped prevent abuse?
Well, it has in a lot of ways, because now people sort of encourages people that are suffering abuse or, staying in abusive marriages that, look, you have to leave at some point. You cannot keep staying and giving excuses because of my kids, because of that. And you see, one of the things that I also really love these days, and Esinam mentioned that, is women now trying to be financially empowered and doing something for themselves. Because most of the times, women that constantly suffer abuse, I'm not saying in all cases, most of them is because they are not financially capable of catering for themselves when they leave. Some of them give you an excuse. Na me too fi here. Me kwata papa fie. O papa fie wo ho. Wa busu fie wo ho. You understand? Exactly my point. So like now society, we are really empowering women to work harder, find something of your own, be a woman of substance. Let a man's money add on to yours. Meanwhile, I love spending my man's money.
Yes, so that's
but let it add on to what...
The love is still there. It's
it's
a woman's thing.
It's much nicer when you're spending the money from a man. I mean, just kidding. But now we're encouraging women to be more stable financially, get something doing, do something for yourself. We have a lot of examples in our media industry, even in in the world, seeing women really taking over territories and dominating these territories. So this is how society is also helping us prevent abuse, directly or indirectly, because if I'm empowered, I have my own money, I can take care of the house, I can help, support my husband and everything. I don't think I'm going to sit down for you to slap me. And the last time I said this on United Show is that if I get married today and my husband beats me today, I will divorce you today. I don't have time. I'm not coming to sit down and say I'm praying. I'm not praying. I'm leaving you. You understand? It's very simple. So I think that these are the various forms that society are helping us, giving women more opportunities and all of that. Encouraging them that, look, you can do this. It's not we don't, before we used to have gender specific jobs that these are. Now I see women who are painters, women who are plumbers, women who they're trying to do something for this. And that's how I think society is also helping us prevent abuse and all of that.
Now one would say that the church has been one enabler of abuse in different ways, because in different conversations we've heard people talk about the fact that, oh, God does not like divorce, so pray about it. But over time, again, with regards to the church, we've seen that also change over time. So I'm sending this directly to you because you belong to that fraternity. What do you think the church is doing so far that is helping prevent abuse?
I can speak to the local church. So every person knows that there is a universal church and there's a local church. The local church is not like your branch. Like, it means the Church of God, like all the churches that are existing, right? the local church has been encouraged, and even in the Bible, we have some of the apostles and some of the men of God, disciples that have come, always encouraging the church to gather people who are ill and to pray for them. Let the elders lay their hands on them. So there has been a place of prayer that, you know, usually soothes the emotions of people, calms you down. And there is a place of counseling. It is a reason why every church would say, before we take you to the altar, you must have to do about 6 months of counseling. You know, stuff. And many people have misinterpreted that request of the church to mean when you are already done and you just want to do the ceremony, then come for the counseling.
Yeah.
Ideally, you have identified somebody you like. Before you even want to say I do to the person, or before the person goes down on one knee, you should be able to take that person through that meal. If you survive the 6 months of the counseling, trust me, and from many sessions that I've sat in, I'll let you know, you would definitely identify if this is a red flag for you or not. People would wait, and push has come to shove before they, you know. So the church has instituted counseling, but also there are some things that thankfully men of God have realized that this situation is not a counseling situation. This situation is
a leave situation.
It's a break situation, you know. I don't know whether it's appropriate on camera, but there have been some marriages that, you know, has been already finished from before the counseling has started. Some include your partner has a very bad sexually transmitted disease, and you marrying the person means that you would also either acquire. But people have said, "Oh, I want to love and love." Another thing, aside the sexually transmitted disease, will be the sickle cell types, or the gene types, where you know very well that if you join yoke with this person, your offspring are going to suffer. Some people say, "Okay, no, this I don't want to do it. This I want to move." So the church has really been that voice of conscience, and it only applies to those who are willing to subject themselves to that support.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, we've talked about abuse. We've generalized the conversation, but let's break it down a little bit to the various types of abuses that people face and how it makes them show up in the world. So for people who have gone through physical abuse, you'd say that if the person is as alert as you are, you touch me once, we're done. It's not going to happen twice.
Oh, but why?
Do you understand?
What are you
But
waiting
what
for?
makes someone stays in a physically abusive relationship? That's the first one I want us to touch on. Like, someone is literally inflicting pain on your body. Why are people living in such conditions for so long to the point where they die?
I don't know. Are you taking it? Okay. So, one is the ability to take care of themselves. You understand? So, assuming that you're in a relationship and you have nothing going for yourself, right? And you find yourself in a relationship with a man who is constantly abusing you. Now, he beats you, he comes back from work, and he has a present for you. And you stay because of what you're getting. So I know people that they beat them and they buy them a car.
Jesus.
I'm telling you. They beat you, the next morning they bring you roses. And what fascinates me is that they will take a picture and post it, social media drag, and post it. But really, they are really going through abuse. There are some people too that when they leave, they really do not have anywhere to go. And so they want to stay believing that they will change. Oh, and yes, I'm not here. They begin to blame themselves that I was the one who pushed him. In as much as I agree that some people do that, but there is no amount of reason that is justifiable for someone to base on that to beat you. I had an abusive father. So I have experienced abuse in some form. You understand? So I know what it feels like to be abused, especially when they are physically inflicting pain on you. You understand? I have been through that. So for me to sit down and say, you didn't give me life, but you came to take me from my family house, and you want to beat me, and I'm supposed to be sitting there, and some women think, or some men even think that, oh, best is to me as a son. I'm going to pray. There are certain things you are wasting God's time. Don't pray about it. You leave. If the person changes, fine, hallelujah. But you don't sit there and then you're constantly saying, oh, he's going to change, oh, this. And that's how we feel as people.
But this is amazing. I'm not going to catch you, but this is amazing because your experience, can I, based on your experience a little bit? Yeah, for so many people who have been abused physically by their parents, it gets to a point where they normalize the abuse and stay in abusive relationships. It's amazing that you moved in the opposite direction. What made you do that? Or how did you?
So I think the last confrontation was, I think I was quite young. For some reason, I don't know, I don't really remember what I did, but I remember that my father was, like, he was fighting with me, like, you know, a man like fighting with me literally. And I got so angry. So I'm like, why should I be going through this? So I fought back. You understand? Like, I'm talking physical fight. I'm not like talking like, you know, I literally had to fight back. And ever since then, I moved out from the house. I never went back. You understand? And I don't have a relationship with him till today.
And it showed you not to allow such into your life.
Of course.
Because you didn't like it.
Because I didn't like it. How does anybody, sometimes I could literally go to school, and anybody watching this, in my school in Achimota, I could go to school, Achimota Preparatory School, and I have marks on my legs. And when they ask me, you know the silly thing, I'll say, oh, I had a dream, and in the dream someone was beating me. So when I woke up, I had a scar. I said, you know that spirituality thing, like people believe. You understand? That is how bad it was. So I'm like, how do I want to be in a place where I wake up every day and I have marks, my face is swollen, or something has happened to me some way or the other, and I'm supposed to be covering up and giving an excuse for someone who is doing that to me? It doesn't feel good. It doesn't make you feel your best. It sort of breaks you. It makes you cower. Then you don't know what you deserve and what you don't deserve. And so at some point you begin to think, oh, it's normal.
It's normal.
Because it was getting to that point, because then you know what happened to me in the process of that is that I began to defend myself by beating people.
Oh, no.
That's the effect it had on me. So at some point, when you offend me in school, everybody who knows me knows it. I will beat you. It's not like I'm joking. I will beat you blue, black. And that was how I realized that this experience that I'm having, this is what is making me become this person. And so through growth, maturity, and me knowing where I want to be in life, I knew that, no, this has to stop. I have to work on my anger. I have to be like this. I have to do this. I have to do this. You understand? So if you're staying in such a relationship, I know women that when they're dating a man and the man doesn't beat them, they think they don't love them. Yeah, because they've all their life
they've normalized the abuse they've had to go through
that. So they feel like, if I do something and it's not right, you're supposed to beat me. I was watching a documentary of some woman, and she was sharing her experience that she had a man, and the man was constantly, she comes from a stable home. So their parents will literally call this man every day to check up on you. Are you okay? Have you eaten? How's your wife? Like, when the man is angry, he speaks to her nicely and be like, okay, can I just give me some? She says she doesn't understand. Why does he have to? You are supposed to beat me and let me know that you are angry. You understand? So there are people that when they get used to abuse, these are the things that they feel is normal.
It's normal.
So when they meet people that don't treat them like that, they begin to think that they don't
This is not the normal thing.
This is not the normal. And it's no fault of theirs, really. Because they didn't get anybody telling them that, you know, this is Africa, for Christ's sake. You do something at home, you better show us. You understand? And sometimes we begin to say, but it is never normal. You understand? But this is the place we find ourselves.
Thank you so much for sharing yourself with us. That was very vulnerable.
That was very vulnerable.
That means that you have either on your journey to heal, or you have come to accept your reality, have healed from it. I absolutely appreciate this.
Thanks for sharing that.
I love it. I love it. I had a similar situation with a colleague of mine, and I have ever since fallen in love with her. We've stayed friends ever since. When we fight, people say, but how are you still friends? I'm like, I know, right? If you understand what she had to go through, and it was something as for an African home, it was something as trivial as no for neighbor and you're too young to have. So they literally will put her through that pain of pushing the breast back to wherever it came from. And she and I talked about it. I'm like, I would have never thought that this was wrong. It happened to me. So I was old and bored and grey. Before I found out that that isn't right.
Yeah.
But guess how she found out that what was up? Because she was going through so much pain, and after that experience, she never got her firm breast back again. Her breast has been sagging ever since. Luckily for me, when my breast was coming back, it became normal. Like it came back like. But then again, this girl has lost her confidence because of that experience, and it was an abusive routine she had to go through her entire life. Talking about it was so heartbreaking. I found out that, oh, actually, Mimi, you were actually abused. Nobody should touch your breast like that. Like, it was natural for it to have happened. But like I said, I was grey and bold before I found out that it was actually some form of abuse. That is the physical aspect, and that was such a classical example. But for emotional abuse, people don't see it coming, and they don't even see it when it has, you know, grown on them and become their reality. How do we find out that this parting is an emotional abusive parting, and I need to break from it?
So before I answer that, right, I want to issue. So there is this thing that we all assume that the person being abused knows that they're being abused. It's a misconception. Absolutely. Many times, they don't even know that what they're going through is the abuse until you step back,
you watch it,
and retrospect, and then you say, hey, this is what I was going through. So for instance, your example, you had no idea that this is what, you know, constituted some form of abuse. And then finally, right, for many, many, many people who are going through abuse, like the trigger point is, am I being disrespected? The trigger point is, am I being belittled? Am I being hurt? Am I being taken for granted? You know, these are trigger points that anyone should see, or even if you're seeing it happening in somebody else, you draw the attention to. Is it hurting me? Am I feeling disrespected? Am I being taken advantage of? Am I being stolen from? People abuse even their bosses without even them knowing that they are being abused. Because you are, as a boss, you are usually the one up. It's like an up bottom approach, right? So you, the bigger person, you are feeding knowledge, you are giving direction, you are tutoring, you are coaching, you are mentoring, and you're being taken advantage of, or people, see, it goes a long way.
We have a doc on the line. Because I have you ladies in the studios, let's just spend a little bit of time with her, let her go, and so that we continue ours over here. Good afternoon, good evening, Doc. How are you doing? Good evening, Doc. Okay, I think we lost her, but we'll go back to her. Please continue with your...
So basically, how you're able to identify that people are going through these emotional abuses is when you help them identify, or you point them to these triggers that I've mentioned, where they can be able to analyze on their own. Is the person making you feel less of yourself?
I think that's probably the highlight of every...
And I think that's the most dangerous form of abuse, because you don't see it coming.
Yes.
You know, it's like manipulative. You know, it's like the person says something, and the next time you are asking about it, the person is trying to defend it. Oh, that's not what I meant. I meant it this way, and stuff like that. But that form of abuse is dangerous because it takes away your essence as a human being, takes away... what's the word again? Oh, there's this word. Your confidence as a person. You know that there's someone that will be in a relationship with someone that's constantly telling you everything you wear. It's the way they would describe you. At some point, you don't even want to go out. You don't even want to go into public for people to see you. And I mean, I've suffered all forms of abuse. So I know what I'm talking about. Like,
I'm going to tell you what, again, I'm not going to catch you, but I'm going to tell you what, there are times that I watch her make some submission. I'm like, people, this girl is too intense. And not too intense in a negative way. I've even said this to my sister before, that I was watching, I had one of my favorite people on your, okay, all right, so let's engage Dr. Evelyn. Good evening, Doc. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
We're doing amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. We know you do not have a lot of time, so we're going to take just a few submissions from you and then let you go.
Sure, thank you.
Now, what are some of the key indicators of an abusive relationship, and how can they be identified? Like, how do I know that this is abuse that is showing up and I need to run?
So when we are looking at the key indicators of an abusive relationship, is first of all, it's important to know that there are lots of different types of abuse. So we have emotional abuse, financial abuse, physical abuse. The physical abuse tends to be the one that's the most known one. But then there are lots of different types of abuse. So it is really important that the general public or everyone really becomes a little bit more aware of the different types of abuse that happens or that occurs, so that if they are also going through a similar situation, they are able to know the types and then also, then respond appropriately.
Right. So there have been issues, instances where individuals who have been abused get stuck in their abusive situations. Like, they never want to go away because, again, they have stories of, where am I going to? Who am I going to? And then over time, it becomes their reality. How does anybody get out of an abusive space without anybody helping them? How are you able to recognize that this one is ruining me, this one is invalidating my essence, and so I need to go away? How are you able to do that on your own?
On your own can be difficult because sometimes you need a little bit of a support. But then also really recognizing the effect that is taken on you, and maybe if there's a family involved, maybe children, really recognizing the effect that is taken on yourself and your children, and makes it really important to really look at getting out of the abusive relationship, the effects on your mental health and all of that. So looking at the effects of it really can help one get out of it.
Wonderful. Now, how do traumatic experiences shape an individual's attachment styles? And so in recent times, I found out this conversation on attachment styles, people show up differently because of their own traumatic experiences. When you're showing up because of your traumatic experiences, how are you able to manage that? Now, for me, it's important to say that because of our own experiences, we have had relationships that we have no business being in it. Like, we had no business being there. But because of our attachment styles, because of our traumatic experiences, we're showing up that way. How are you able to go through that phase as well?
And sometimes that also depends on the person's personality. So when you're looking at somebody who has more of a dependent personality style, and that can impact, one's kind of likelihood of getting back into a traumatic relationship. Then we are even looking at the whole idea of an attachment style. Social personality can be a personality that one can get used to, especially when that's what they know. They grew up in a traumatic home, and so then now they find themselves in an abusive relationship because that's what they know. And so they are really familiar and quote unquote comfortable with that kind of personality, as opposed to being familiar with a healthy personality, because they don't know what that looks like. So they are being attracted to what is familiar, and unfortunately, what is familiar is something that is unhealthy.
Wow. I wish we could continue the conversation on different angles of abuse, but thank you so much for sharing yourself with us, and of course your knowledge as well on the topic for today. We were speaking to Dr. Evelyn Owusu-Roberts, licensed clinical psychologist. Doc, we should have you in the studio very soon.
Enjoy that.
Thank you so much for joining us. Ladies,
Right.
the attachment styles conversation. Now, I didn't quite know this until I was watching Sarah Jakes Roberts one time, and she was talking about how people get anxiously attached. What was the other one? Anxious attachment was something I could relate to. So again, I kept that at the back of my mind. But then again, it was also because of some of the things that I had also been through as an individual. So once someone is leaving, either I will let you go completely, like I'll block you, like, don't call me again, like, how dare you, I'm calling you and you're not picking up, like, I'm done with you. Like, why? What? And I would do that. And over time, it became what I who I became, you know, and people be like, Mimi, who hurt you? I'm like, oh my God, isn't that bad? But then with all these experiences that have shaped people into what they have become over time, I was telling you one time I was watching and I was like, no, you people don't look at this chick. You don't look at her. Well, she is too intense. And when I say she's too intense, when you look at MC, well, you know that this girl could be a softie, you know. Like, this is probably someone you should actually give a flower because she will take it and melt. But then again, she's showing up the way she's showing up because of her own experience. And thank you for validating those thoughts of mine. Because when I'm like, you don't know this chick. She probably is one of the coolest you would meet, but she comes up like that. Now, with all these conversations that we've had today, how do we help build a society devoid of traumatic experiences? Or even if when people have been through those issues and they are showing up because they have been abused in a certain way, how are we able to build a better society for people like that, to be able to speak up? One, speak up about their abuses, seek for help, and even avoid it in the first place.
I think
Mami will help us first.
I think that the first thing is, so see, half of the time you solve a problem when you talk about the problem. It is okay for you to, number one, admit that there's a problem. Just let's address the elephant in the room real quick. Can we?
Real quick.
Yeah. So first is encouraging people to talk about it. Just, you know, have the conversation and talk about it. We have demonized people expressing their journey. I remember I was on a panel of an event, and the lady was also sharing that she was also abused, you know, and you could realize that she was not healed. And I looked on to how the other panelists, you know, reacted to how
she was
expressing herself. Believe me, nobody had to tell me. They began to see her in a light of, this is a weak girl. You're going through so much. Is this a place to vent it out? But in any situation like that, it should be a safe zone. Like how you and I said, hey, thank you for sharing. Because it's difficult to share. And when I do, I want to know that I didn't share it to the wrong people. Right? So that's, we should all consider as a society. When somebody is having a meltdown, how you react to the person, or how you're supposed to counsel the person, or even receive what is coming off of you. Just be a listening ear. It probably wouldn't cost you anything. So that would be my first way of society helping. Number two, point them to professional help. Like Dr. Roberts, who just spoke over the phone, there are many that are similar to that, right? Who you can be able to go to. Kolebu, there are many
hospitals
that have
psychologists
really,
over there.
Even though if you want to go to a hospital, go to the University of Ghana. Go to the psychology department. They are trained. My first degree was in psychology. And just yesterday, I was speaking to somebody said to me, listen, I think you should go and get a license in this.
Start practicing.
Because aside being a pastor, you encounter young people. I pastor young people. You encounter many who are going through it. One relationship to the other. And the moment you realize that there is a pattern, it means that there is something that you are doing. You can't do the same thing and expect a different result. It means there is something you're doing, or there is a particular taste you're following that is giving you that output. So my first would be a listening ear. Number two, talk to a professional. Number three, which I think is the most important, pray. People undermine the relevance of just going to God and just, sometimes don't even say a word. Just cry your lungs out. It's therapeutic because many psychologists in the United States, they'll charge you per hour just because you want to come and cry. Let's sit down and cry
to me.
Now you have a greater force. You have God. You have the Holy Spirit. If you're not even a Christian, you have an object of worship that have availed so much space in the universe and the firmament to listen to you. Just use that resource.
MC, I'm going to pose a different question to you. So for you, is it stay or completely leave or manage for you?
What are you managing? My point is, what are you managing really? I think that nobody deserves to go through abuse for someone who has suffered that a lot. And so I cannot stand it when especially a partner was to abuse me, I will. One of the things that we didn't really talk about is that sometimes, there are people that really do things that they don't know that it's abusive to you.
To you, yeah.
And no, genuinely they don't
Genuinely,
know.
they don't know.
But then you see, because you've been told that, oh, as a woman, you nag a lot. Me, I will talk about everything.
Yeah.
Even the way you stand. If I find it's abusive, I'll tell you. I'm just saying. Like, you have to learn, what I want to tell you have to learn to communicate how you feel at any point at all. If my behavior, my mannerism, or something about me made you feel a certain way, tell me. You understand? If you constantly tell these people that you're involved with and they want to talk you down, they want to make you look like you are, then you should know that
Validate
the
your
people
feelings.
do not take your feelings, serious.
Yeah.
So for me, never manage an abusive relationship, never try to fix it, leave.
Leave. Let them go and heal
Yeah.
and fix themselves somewhere else if they don't know that they are abusing you. Now, did you know that all the 41 LPG companies and 800 stations across the country are 100% built and operated by indigenous Ghanaians? When you refill your cylinder with us, you support the growth of indigenous businesses and create more jobs. But that's not the only reason for you to choose our LPG distribution system. Offers unbeatable value, allowing you to buy any amount of the product in whichever quantities you need, making it incredibly pocket-friendly. Worried about being cheated? With us, you can watch Feely as your cylinder gets filled. Plus, we have weighing scales at every station, so you can double-check what the weight of the quantity filled. That's trust guaranteed. Switch to LPG for your car, especially if you drive a taxi. It's a very environmentally friendly, helping protect our precious ecosystem. Go green with LPG and make a difference. Remember, when the last tree dies, the last man dies. Refill your LPG cylinder at your nearest gas station and help save our forests and environment. Let's protect Ghana for this generation and the next. LPG Marketing Company Association of Ghana, your affordable, pocket-friendly, trustworthy, and eco-friendly choice. So, ladies, thank you so much for sharing yourself with us. Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful brains with us. And I know out there, anyone listening, whether man, woman, thank you for watching. And I know that you have learned a thing or two. Speak up and learn to walk away from situations. If they want to go and heal, let them go and heal. But not here, not on your life, or not at the expense of your sanity, okay? A big thank you to DecoZone for coming on board again. We always tell you that if you want that house to be a home, go to DecoZone and thank us later. Betway, Cowbell Coffee, Flora Tissue, Tango Washing Powder, Telecel, Club Shandy, and LPG. We'll see you again next week. My name is Miriam Mensah.